You hit 40, and suddenly life feels different. The mirror reflects more than your face. It reflects your choices, your battles, your dreams that still whisper, "I'm not done yet." This isn't the time to slow down. It's the time to wake up. Because after 40, life stops being a rehearsal. It becomes real, raw, and sacred. When you cross 40, something inside you begins to shift. You start realizing that the time you once thought was limitless is now quietly ticking away, not in a frightening way, but in a deeply awakening one. You begin to see how quickly years turn into decades, how easily someday becomes never, and how fragile the moments are that we so often take for granted. Life, which once felt like an open road with endless turns, now feels more like a narrowing path that demands clarity, purpose, and courage. It's no longer about how long you have left, it's about what you do with the time that remains. When you're young, you waste time because you think it will always come back. You procrastinate, you postpone dreams, you delay conversations, and you assume tomorrow will always arrive. But after 40, you see the truth. Time never repeats itself. Every sunrise that passes takes something with it. Your energy, your youth, your chances. And yet, that realization is not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Because time may not be infinite, but meaning still is. When you begin to honor your time, you begin to honor your life. Every day becomes an opportunity to align with purpose, to speak with intention, and to act with integrity. This is the season where you must stop saying one day and start saying today. That book you wanted to write, start. That apology you've been holding back, give it. That trip you've been dreaming of for years, go. The truth is, time will never slow down for you, but you can slow down enough to live within it. You can stop existing and start experiencing. You can choose to live with depth instead of distraction, because every moment you live consciously becomes a form of wealth that no money can buy and no regret can steal. At 40 and beyond, you begin to understand that you can't afford to spend your time on things that drain you. Meaningless arguments, toxic people, fake approval. You've paid your dues in anxiety and overthinking. Now your time is sacred. You must spend it wisely, like a precious currency. Give it to people who make you laugh. Invest it in work that fulfills you. Offer it to causes that heal others. And most importantly, save a portion of it for yourself, for reflection, stillness, and gratitude. Because at this stage, time is no longer just a measure of years. It's a mirror of priorities. It shows you what you truly value. It reminds you that every decision, no matter how small, shapes the story of your remaining years. You cannot control the clock, but you can control how you live as it ticks. And when you begin to treat your time like the miracle it is, something powerful happens. Your days gain meaning, your nights gain peace, and your heart begins to whisper, "This is what life was always meant to feel like." After 40, you begin to understand something that youth rarely notices. Your body is not invincible, and your energy is not endless. You start to feel the subtle reminders that your health is not something you can postpone taking care of. The late nights, skipped meals, endless stress, and careless routines begin to whisper warnings that are no longer easy to ignore. You realize that real wealth is not in your bank balance, not in the size of your home, and not in the number of people who admire you. It's in your ability to wake up every morning with strength in your body, peace in your mind, and gratitude in your heart. Health becomes the foundation of every joy you want to experience. Without it, even your dreams start to lose color. You can have all the success, all the recognition, and all the material possessions you ever desired, but if your health falters, everything else fades into the background. After 40, your body begins to ask for kindness, not punishment. It asks for rest, not exhaustion. It asks for nourishment, not neglect. This is the time when you must begin to treat your body as a sacred vessel, not a machine that can run endlessly without care. Taking care of your health is not just about exercise or diet, it's about respect. Respect for the life you've been given, for the breath that still fills your lungs, for the heart that has beaten faithfully through every storm. It's about creating a rhythm of living that honors balance, eating with awareness, moving with intention, sleeping with peace, and thinking with gratitude. When you begin to see health as the highest form of self-love, you naturally begin to protect it. You choose better food, not out of guilt, but out of respect. You go for a walk, not to burn calories, but to breathe in life. You rest, not because you are lazy, but because you finally understand that rest is the foundation of growth. At this stage of life, you also learn that mental and emotional health matter just as much as the physical. Anxiety, resentment, guilt, and unhealed pain can drain your vitality faster than any illness. So you begin to cleanse your inner world too, letting go of toxic thoughts, forgiving yourself for the mistakes you made, and surrounding yourself with peace instead of pressure. True health is harmony, when the body, mind, and spirit move together with balance and gratitude. And when you begin to prioritize your well-being, something incredible happens. Your energy rises, your clarity sharpens, and your joy returns. You begin to glow from within, not because of how you look, but because of how you live. The small daily choices, drinking more water, getting proper sleep, breathing deeply, walking in nature, start to create miracles that no medicine can replace. Because after 40, you don't chase youth anymore. You cultivate vitality, wisdom, and inner calm. You stop trying to look younger and start learning how to feel alive. There comes a point in life, often after 40, when you start realizing that not every voice around you deserves your attention. The opinions, the gossip, the constant flood of information, all of it begins to feel heavier than it used to. You start to see how much of your peace has been stolen by noise, the noise of comparison, of other people's expectations, of digital distractions, and of your own overthinking mind. This is when life gently teaches you a powerful lesson. Silence is not empty, it is full of answers. You don't need to listen to everything, respond to everything, or explain yourself to everyone. The more you simplify the voices around you, the more clearly you begin to hear your own. After 40, clarity becomes more important than popularity. You stop needing to impress people who were never really watching, and you start focusing on living in a way that brings you peace instead of validation. The noise of the world often convinces you that you need to be more, do more, have more, achieve more. But the truth is, peace begins when you decide that less is enough. You learn that you don't have to chase every trend, attend every event, or maintain every connection. Some things and some people belong to your past, not your present. The energy you spend trying to keep everyone happy can finally be redirected toward keeping yourself whole. Cutting the noise also means cutting the internal chaos, the overthinking, the self-doubt, the need for control. These mental patterns keep you trapped in anxiety. At this stage of life, you realize that peace is not found in perfection. It's found in acceptance. You begin to understand that your mind doesn't need to be a battlefield. It can be a garden, but for that, you must learn to filter what enters it. Choose what you read, who you listen to, and what you allow to influence your emotions. Every word you consume shapes your state of being. So choose wisely. Surround yourself with wisdom, truth, and voices that uplift rather than drain. You also learn that solitude is not loneliness, it's power. The ability to sit with yourself in silence and still feel complete is one of the greatest strengths a human being can develop. In that silence, you reconnect with your intuition, your faith, and your true desires. You start hearing what you really want instead of what the world told you to want. That's when you begin living life on your own terms, not to prove anything, not to compete, but simply to be at peace. When you cut the noise, you create space. Space for clarity, for gratitude, for joy. The constant chatter fades, and in its place, you find calm. You find purpose. You find yourself again. Because sometimes the loudest transformation happens in the quietest moments. At some point after 40, regret begins to creep into your thoughts like a shadow you didn't notice before. It whispers about the chances you didn't take, the words you didn't say, the relationships you let fade, and the dreams you pushed aside for later. Regret doesn't scream. It quietly sits in the corners of your heart, weighing you down, reminding you of the time that can't be rewound. It's a feeling that doesn't shout for attention, but silently steals your peace, day after day. You begin to understand that regret isn't about what happened. It's about what didn't happen because you hesitated, feared, or doubted yourself. And once you see that truth, it changes the way you look at every choice in front of you. Regret often comes disguised as wisdom. It teaches you what truly matters, but only after it's too late to change the past. You start to realize that life isn't about having a perfect record. It's about having the courage to show up, to try, to fail, and to learn. Too many people reach a certain age and drown in what ifs. What if I had taken that job? What if I had followed my passion? What if I had spoken my truth when I had the chance? But all those what ifs don't build a life. They bury it. The longer you feed them, the louder they become. And that's why it's so important at this stage to stop feeding the past and start nourishing the present. The beauty of being over 40 is that you now understand time differently. You realize that you can't go back, but you can go forward, wiser, lighter, and stronger. You no longer need to carry your regrets like chains. You can turn them into lessons that free you. Every mistake you've made, every failure you've endured, every road you didn't take, all of it can still serve a purpose. Regret becomes a teacher only when you stop hiding from it and start learning from it. You can't erase what's done, but you can rewrite what's next. You can make peace with the chapters that hurt by deciding to write better ones now. Regret loses its power when you forgive yourself. That's the hardest part. Not forgiving others, but forgiving yourself for being human, for not knowing better at the time, for being scared, for being tired, for simply doing the best you could with the awareness you had. Once you release yourself from that burden, you start to breathe again. You stop being haunted by yesterday and start being hopeful for tomorrow. Every person carries regret, but not everyone allows it to define them. Some use it as a mirror, a reminder to live differently, to speak honestly, to act boldly, to love deeply. Because once you've felt the pain of regret, you understand the value of courage. You no longer wait for the right moment, you create it. And in that realization, you reclaim your power, your freedom, and your life. By the time you reach 40, life has already taught you lessons that no book, no seminar, and no teacher could ever provide. You've stumbled, you've risen, you've loved, you've lost, and through it all, you've gained something priceless: wisdom. This wisdom is not loud or showy, it's quiet, humble, and deeply rooted in experience. It lives in the way you speak, the way you react, the way you understand people without needing them to explain themselves. Your wisdom is not about knowing everything. It's about knowing what truly matters. And yet too often people over 40 underestimate the value of their own insight. They forget that their life stories, their scars, and their survival are treasures that can guide others out of darkness. Wisdom isn't something you get from reading. It's something you earn by living. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every victory, and every failure has shaped you into someone who sees beyond the surface. You've learned that people change, that time heals, that words can wound, and that silence can protect. You've learned that not every fight is worth fighting, and not every apology deserves a response. You've learned that peace costs more than pride, and that letting go is sometimes the bravest thing you can do. All those lessons you carry inside, they are pure gold. The world may value youth and speed, but what it truly needs is depth and understanding. You are walking proof that growth comes not from age, but from awareness. When you begin to recognize your own wisdom, you stop chasing validation and start sharing truth. You realize that your experiences have the power to help someone else heal, to save them from making the same mistakes, or simply to remind them that they're not alone. You start to speak differently, not to impress, but to uplift. Your words become medicine. Your advice carries weight not because it's perfect, but because it's honest. And that honesty is rare. When you speak from a place of empathy and experience, people listen, not because you tell them what to do, but because you remind them who they can be. Your wisdom also becomes your guide. It helps you make better decisions, choose better people, and live with fewer regrets. It teaches you that calm is more powerful than chaos, that silence can be stronger than argument, and that kindness never weakens you. You begin to see through pretense, through noise, through the illusions that once distracted you. You no longer seek approval because you've learned that self-respect is the only kind of validation that lasts. The things that once made you anxious now seem small, and the peace that once felt out of reach becomes your natural state. There's a quiet confidence that comes with age, a knowing that doesn't need to prove itself. You start to realize that your life has been preparing you for this moment all along. Every struggle refined you, every loss deepened you, every comeback strengthened you. That's what makes your wisdom golden. It's been tested in fire and polished by time. There comes a point in life, especially after 40, when fear begins to whisper louder than it used to. You start worrying about your future, your health, your finances, your family, and sometimes even about time itself slipping away. Fear convinces you that you're running out of chances, that your best years are behind you, that it's too late to start something new or to change direction. But fear is a liar. It drains your spirit, weakens your belief, and makes you forget the power that has carried you through every storm so far: faith. Faith is not blind optimism. It's the deep, quiet assurance that even when you can't see the path ahead, something greater than you is guiding your steps. It's the strength to take another breath, another step, another chance, even when everything in you wants to stop. Faith is what keeps your soul steady when life feels uncertain. It reminds you that you faced challenges before, moments when you thought you wouldn't make it, but somehow you did. You've seen doors close only to find better ones open. You've watched people walk away only to meet those who truly care. That was faith working silently, turning pain into direction, chaos into clarity, and endings into beginnings. The older you grow, the more you realize that control is an illusion and that peace only comes when you learn to trust. Not in circumstances, not in people, but in a higher plan that knows more than you do. Fear thrives in confusion, but faith lives in surrender. It doesn't mean you stop trying, it means you stop panicking. You stop questioning your worth every time life throws a challenge your way. You begin to understand that every delay has meaning, every detour has purpose, and every difficulty holds a hidden gift. The hardest part of walking by faith is not seeing the full picture, but that's where the magic happens. When you let go of the need to control everything, you create space for miracles. You begin to move through life with calm because you know you're not walking alone. After 40, faith becomes less about religion and more about relationship. Your relationship with yourself, with time, and with the unseen strength that has kept you alive this long. It teaches you that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. It tells you that hope is not naive. It's necessary. Fear will always show you what could go wrong. Faith will remind you of what can still go right. Fear locks you in hesitation. Faith opens the door to possibility. Fear wants you to doubt your worth. Faith tells you you're still being shaped for something greater. When you choose faith over fear, your energy shifts. The same situations that once broke you begin to build you. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Try me." You begin to walk through uncertainty with grace instead of anxiety, because deep down you know you've survived too much to stop believing now. So, if you're over 40, don't see it as the beginning of the end. See it as the awakening of a deeper, wiser, more powerful version of you. Time may not be infinite, but meaning still is. Your body, your mind, and your soul are calling you to live with intention, not fear. Protect your peace, honor your health, trust your journey, and use your wisdom to light the way for others. Life is no joke, but it's also no tragedy. It's a sacred gift, and the best part is, your story isn't over yet. It's just getting real.